Hello, implementers. My name is Anthony English, and this is episode number 5 of Learn to Implement. In this podcast, you're going to learn how to apply your learning, all of those things that you are learning through absorbing in podcasts or reading books or listening to audio books, how to put them into practice. And today I want to speak about habits because a habit is a way of really giving a gift to your future self. You think about it, when you have to do something that requires a bit of concentration, maybe it's something new, maybe you've got to be looking things up, you've got to get the equipment, you've got to get the tools, you've got to develop some skills, then it requires more focus. That means that you're going to do it more slowly. But even if you did it quickly, you're still going to be really preoccupied. You can't multitask. You can't do two things at once. Here's a place that I do multitask. I walk down to a coffee shop. It's about 15 minutes walk. I do that every morning. And as I do, I'm usually listening to a podcast, a self-improvement podcast or an audio book, something like that. Now, I wouldn't be able to do that if walking required a lot of mental energy, but it doesn't. For me, it's no stress at all. Similarly, if I was driving my car, I might be able to listen to a podcast because I've been driving for years and it doesn't require a whole lot of effort to learn to remember. I've got to turn the blinker, I've got to indicate to turn left, to turn right. I have to remember to look over my shoulder. These things I've already got because I've got the habit of driving. So that applies to hundreds of other things in your life, where if you were to have things in order, if you were to have the habit, then it doesn't take so much effort. And so it's not just about doing things faster, but doing them in a more relaxed way so that you can free up your brain space for things that do require more focus, do require more attention. And so that is why habits are so good. I've developed a habit. I learnt a habit at the age, I was well over 50 and I started for the first time, really, since I was a teenager, I started doing push-ups. Now, I'm not somebody who's ever gone to the gym. I do a little bit of walking, not hiking, and I am not I'm not a sporty sort of person. So the idea of doing a push-up was a bit overwhelming for me. But I did the first one, and to my amazement, I didn't die. And so the next day I tried to do 3, which I was able to do, and I pushed on a little bit, or pushed up, and got to 5, 7, and so on. And I eventually got myself up to 20 push-ups in the morning, 30, 40, and even 50. Now, are they perfect form push-ups? Definitely not. They're quite rushed, but they are push-ups that I'm doing. But how did I do that? It was not by so much by setting a goal, but by creating a habit, by creating a very simple habit of starting the day with maybe 3 push-ups, 5 push-ups. And so the idea of having that as a habit took a lot of effort initially, not just physically, but mentally. Oh, do I really want to do this? But once I got it, it just became part of my day, part of my strategy, so that I could then start to be decluttering my mind, not be focusing. How am I going to go this? How am I going to do this? How am I going to start this new process or this new habit? I've got the example from doing my banking and getting my bank accounts all reconciled and working with a budget, with a budget app. I had to set all of that up, but now that I've got it, I've got the habit, and it's really not hard for me to get back. It's not daunting for me. It's not draining for me to get in, to do it, and then to get it done. And it's almost, I could even say, a bit rewarding to do it. So what one thing can you do that you're not already doing, or maybe you're doing it, but you're not doing it in the same way each time? It requires you to think a lot about it, requires a bit of effort. What one thing is it that you can do that you could make it just second nature to yourself? Could just make it part of your habits, of your daily habits. And it could be a task that you have to do. It could be some errand that you have to do, some maintenance of an appliance or some equipment around your home. What is it that you could replace a bit of stress, a bit of, I've got too many things to think about when I have to do this, to replace it with a habit that doesn't require a lot of concentration, doesn't require a lot of effort, but it's just something that is just part of who you are, similar to the way that you might prepare some food or cook or brush your teeth or put on your clothes or those sort of things. So what one habit can you do that would be, it's a tiny one, maybe it would take you 15 seconds, 30 seconds, and you say, that is the habit that I'm going to build, and that is, it's got a very, very clear benefit, a really clear goal. And it could be, if you're not a really neat person, it could be putting things away, he says as he looks around his messy desk. It could be putting things away, putting putting that book that you've taken out, putting it back on the bookshelf, or leaving it there, or putting a bookmark in place. Very, very simple habit that can just save you a little bit of time, save you a little bit of unnecessary hunting around, or a little bit of stress each time for the next time that you have to do this thing. So what habit are you able to build, a very small habit that are you able to build today? That's it for today. Thank you for listening to the Learn to Implement podcast. Once again, my name is Anthony English, and we'll see you next time.